Here's what I think of Kesson, TBA Studios' ensemble historical picture. In spite of its title, this movie's central character isn't Manuel Quezon or even Emilio Aguinaldo, but rather a fictional character, a journalist, named Joven Hernando. Through his lengthy commentary, Joven Hernando is the thinly veiled voice of the director, Gerald Tarot. The depiction of President Kesson himself is a snarling, plotting, glad-handing distraction in a film that relies on the cinematic language its director knows best. Not history, but horror. I'm Manolo Quezon, the explainer. Both the movie Kesson, last in Gerald Tarog's Bayaniverse series, and Luna, the first, required a niche audience to succeed. In this 400 peso a ticket era, this niche audience means the middle class. And so it carries from start to finish, in its heart of hearts, a shared conviction between its makers and its viewers. What is that shared conviction? Randy David once tried to define it. The middle class in this country, he said, does not believe in elections, they believe in coups. They are impatient. But not so impatient that they can't sit through 2.5 hours of film and debate a movie supposedly about the origins of our democracy to death. So let me contribute my review. The movie Kesson is a bit like Frankenstein, the monster that is. It is many different things cobbled together to animate the whole. It's historical fiction, but more about the present rather than the past. Its director calls it satire, which incidentally is why its humor hits home. It's about politics, but to be very precise, it's actually a movie about what people think about politicians. We view them with horror because so many do truly horrible things. It is a work by a filmmaker who directed, co-wrote, and musically scored this film, which in its heart of hearts is actually a horror movie. A fair mind might plead for balance in its portrayal of a human being asserting leadership, armed only with his wits and eloquence, against occupiers intent on dividing to maintain their conquest. But this isn't a movie interested in fairness. As the director himself said, why bother highlighting Quezon's achievements when everyone's already familiar with the good stuff? Instead, it wants to set itself apart by insisting on a one-dimensional portrayal. If this film is uninterested either in nuance or basic fairness, much less a truth that may lie somewhere in between, it's not because Gerald Tarog or Rodi Vera don't personally believe in these things, though honestly I don't know, and I even wonder if anyone should care, but rather because these things are irrelevant to the story, the mission at hand, as are the facts. Ethan Hawke, who recently starred in a picture about a songwriter, put it best when he said, "The facts can't be cement shoes." Any work of art is about choices, and that is particularly true about historical fiction like this film. No creator likes spilling their secret sauce, but a master showman knows that sanctity is boring, fairness is vanilla, evil is interesting, evil in action is thrilling. The story is everything, and the story must entertain. It has a mission to accomplish. Now, is the mission to understand politics? No, because this is a movie about politics obviously made by people for whom politics remains a mystery. Much has been made of the extensive reading the co-writers did, but you cannot learn, much less understand, much less communicate politics, the intrigue of it, the thrill of it, the intricacy, exhilaration, glory, shame, and yes, the stink of it solely by reading books. Even in political fiction, novelists and filmmakers alike start by interviewing political practitioners. To me, the most glaring omission in the entire effort is this lack of talking to anyone with expertise the filmmakers lack. What then is the mission? Bart Gingona spelled it out when he described the movie as, quote, a cynical postmodern take on Philippine politicians reflecting our own present-day political climate, end quote. In a nutshell, postmodernism, as one definition puts it, is skeptical of grand theories and universal truths. If there are no universal truths, Why try to find it anywhere, including even in between the opinions of admirers or haters? It will only get in the way of the story. A story which has to be entertaining, which is why I believe that the best description of Kesson is that it's a horror movie. Horror, after all, is the director's creative milieu. Not for nothing was he the former co-director of not one, but four shake, rattle, and roll movies. It is a horror movie because it features a spectacular monster named Kesson being thrillingly bad. That he is a nearly unibrow because a solely one-dimensional psychopath is an artistic choice, deliberately made, and so no accident. Consider this. You have two choices to play the Joker, a psychopathic character. Over the top, like Jack Nicholson, or psychologically complex, like Joaquin Phoenix. Both are entertaining, but one is more interesting and better acted than the other. In this film, Jericho Rosales echoes Jack Nicholson and has a lot of fun doing it. But if Kesson is merely the monster and the monster has no depth, then he can't be the main character. This is why I believe the main character, in case you didn't notice as you watch Kesson tearing the defenseless victim Aguinaldo apart, is Joven Hernando. He's one of those characters who has appeared in all three movies of the series and who has something more than the big names do. A narrative arc. Once upon a time, he was idealistic, but he didn't live happily ever after. Joven, true to his name, acts like a child. All of us knows a Joven, the kind for whom everything is everybody else's fault, never his own. Now here is where the movie falls short because it loses its nerve. It's Joven's voiceovers. They are the ASMR of an insecurity which doesn't trust the audience to get it and which therefore has to spell it all out for you. In the manner of an energy vampire like Colin Robinson, know-it-all who sits beside you in the cinema, whispering what he thinks you should know when you'd rather watch in peace. Instead of illumination, there's dictation, and it's exhausting. The real Kesson once told historian Teodoro Agoncillo about a member of his cabinet that, "I hired him as a man, but he served me like a dog." Kesson was famous for the tango, which takes two to dance. What this film does is give an excuse slip both to Joven and the audience, who are left with a shallow blame game. This film claims to be bold, even daring, but in the end shrinks back from truly being death-defying either in ambition or in speaking truth to power. No one in their right mind who values either their life or liberty could attempt a satire of this penetrating cruelty by portraying contemporary politicians. Instead, it resorts to a time-tested creative tactic, having people in the past mouthing what those living in the present actually feel. It's protective coloration at work, like being a chameleon. Those who live and run away get to film another day, and that is a tragic lesson of this film.